Hi, I'm Ohayon from Restore Your Core and One Strong Mama. And today we're talking about recovery post C-section, specifically how to strengthen your core muscles if you've had a C-section, what exercises you can start doing post C-section. All of this is being done once you have medical clearance to exercise. So once you have medical clearance to exercise, I definitely recommend focusing on rebuilding core strength, specifically core strength in the lower abdominals. And what I see most often with my own clients is a lot of numbness where the scar is, inability to contract the lower abdominals. And as a result, I see a lot of core compensating, even where there's just a lot of downward and outward pressure on the core, which can exacerbate or lead to core issues such as a separated abdominal wall known as diastasis recti, or even downward pressure leading to pelvic floor issues like leak pee, sneeze pee, cough pee, or even a prolapse. So we would like to avoid those things. And if you have any of those issues, plus you've had a C-section, all of these exercises are totally fine for you. So, and they're okay to do. So as with any of my videos, none of this is medical advice. None of this should be a stand-in for seeing a doctor for any issues that you might be feeling, having pain, and all of that good stuff. This is simply exercise that I do with all of my clients post C-section to wake up the core appropriately and to begin to engage and strengthen. Let's go. So the first thing we want to do is begin to wake up the core muscles and make sure that we're engaging them appropriately. My favorite exercise for this is called the candles exercise. You can do it standing, sitting, or lying down. I'm going to show it to you lying down, but again, it can be done in any of those ways. The important thing is your setup for lying down. So you want to make sure that you are set up well. Anytime you exercise lying down, you can utilize these simple principles. So we are going to lie down, bending your knees and placing the soles of your feet on the floor. You can come to your side and then roll over however you get there. You want your sacrum, the triangular base of your spine part, so like the top of your underwear line is another way of saying that, your hips, you want those on the floor. And then you also want your ribs on the floor. You might be able to see that my ribs are off the floor here. So if you come to lie down and your ribs are off the floor, what we don't want to do is just push them back down to the floor, right? So my recommendation is that you grab a block, a bolster, a blanket, pillows, and place them underneath your head so that your ribs can come comfortably down. Okay, so I'm not going to do that right now. Actually, let me grab one. Okay, so I do have one at hand. It's just a blanket. Come down. Much better. The ribs come to the floor. The lower back, the sacrum area that I talked about, is on the floor, and what we will have is a slight mild arch in the lower back off the floor. Do not try to push that down onto the floor. The lower back is designed to be off the floor. Let me get a little bit closer. Okay, from here, that's your neutral arrangement. Okay, and what you want to do now is place your hands on your lower belly, right around where your C-section scar is. Okay, and I want you to take a nice inhale, and then I want you to hiss it out long and slow. And as you hiss it out long and slow, I want you to first see if you can hiss it and feel your stomach kind of pushing up into your hands. And that's what I will refer to a lot as bulging, bracing, or even like pushing out in your abdominals. So we don't want to do that, right? So it's good to know what you don't want to do before you begin. Now let's think about what we do want to do. Your fingers are in your lower belly. Inhale. Exhale, a nice hiss. And as you do that, feel your belly moving away from your fingers. So pulling your belly in. You may have heard the instruction navel to spine, right? So pulling your belly button towards your spine. Sometimes this one can be easier to feel sitting up. So if you're like, I don't really feel that, you can come to sit up. I always recommend sitting on something. You can place your hand on your lower belly, same place, so under your belly button, like lower belly, right where your C-section scar is. And as you exhale, again, feel the skin of your stomach pulling away from the palm of your hand. Now, if you have had a C-section, this might not happen today or tomorrow or even in 2 days. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong or that you're weak, right? What we're trying to do is map our brain to our body. That part of the body has gone under a lot of trauma in the form of surgery. So it requires a certain level of patience, but it also requires a certain level of waking those muscles back up again, which means connecting the brain first to that part of the body. So that's why your hand is there, and that's why you're just being really patient with this process, and you don't have to get this today. So, but the candles concept is the very first exercise, and if you're struggling to feel the candles, you can move on to the other exercises, but I don't want you doing the other exercises by cheating, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So the candles and the core, the candles is another way of saying core engagement. That's the core engagement. Now you come to lie on your back. The next exercise, we're just adding on. You're lying on your back. You can keep your pillow, your blanket there. Your spine is in that neutral arrangement. Remember, the sacrum is on the floor. What a lot of people do is they lie on their backs with their pelvis tucking under. It's not what we want. Put your sacrum on the floor. Allow your ribs to soften towards the floor without pushing them down. Lower back has an arch. Hands are on your lower belly, and all you're gonna do is inhale, and as you exhale, feel the candles, feel your abdominals tightening and as if like being corseted in. And as that is happening, slide your left leg away from you on the floor, and you can exhale, slide it back. Now that looks really easy, like, oh my God, what's the big deal? She's sliding her leg back and forth. It's actually really hard if you don't let your pelvis move up and down and side to side, and if you don't push with your opposite leg. So I'm keeping my opposite leg really light as I do this, and I'm not letting my torso at all move. Nothing is moving here. And the other thing that's not happening is my stomach doesn't push up to the sky. So it's not this. Look at my stomach. You see my stomach tightened and pushed up? It's not that. The abdominals stay corseted the whole time. Now, if you've done this for a while and you want to challenge, the next place you challenge yourself is you put a block under your hips and you do it. If you put a block under your hips, I recommend removing the blanket and do the same thing. When the block is under your hips, your pelvis will be in a slight tucked position. And then the final way to make this harder is by using a ball under your pelvis. And that's a lot harder because your body wants to wiggle, and you're not gonna let it wiggle, and you're also not gonna push down into the opposite leg. So I'm moving a lot faster than you would be moving. I'm just kind of showing you the exercise. The real pace would be and everything stays still. And the next one is where you just add a leg raise. And you're just gonna lift and lower the leg 8 to 10 times. So the leg sliding, you can do 8 to 10 times, and then the leg raise. And the same thing, watch. As my leg comes up, I don't wanna tuck my pelvis. So it's not this, right? That's fun, but it's not that. Okay. And then to make it harder, and I'm not using this foot at all, and to make it harder, I add the block or the ball, okay? Remember, it's probably best to have a bolster under your head as you do these. And try not to harden and tighten the leg. Almost make the leg really heavy and slightly bent. Okay, so challenge your core. And remember, where you want to be feeling this is down here. Okay, so you're really trying to pull your lower belly in. And with a lot of my cesarean birth clients, what I have them do is put their fingers on their belly and keep feeling like they're moving their belly away from their fingers. When you have your fingers there, it gives your brain a place to work from. So those 3 exercises are lying down. The last 2 are standing up. Remembering that, remind yourself that strengthening your core should be done, not just lying on your back or on your hands and knees. It is a dynamic whole body exercise, and you want to start to challenge your core in a variety of ways. You want to challenge your core here, and side bending, and twisting, and reaching, and leaning, because that is actually how we move through our day. And we want our core to ultimately be supporting us all day long. So now we're gonna stand up and do a few more dynamic exercises. This next one is called Goddess, and it's featured in all of my online exercise programs. You open your feet wide and you bend your knees. Try not to let your knees collapse in, so think about your knees going wide as well, and you hold this position. Now, as you go down, I want you then to, as if, straighten your legs and lift up without actually coming up. So that's going to engage your legs a little differently. You hold a block, or anything, can be a block, a book, anything. Squeeze it between your arms. Your arms don't have to be straight or locked, right? Squeeze it. Exhale, feel your deep core pulling in, and squeeze and side bend. Now, as you do this, I want you to imagine that you're in a jar of maple syrup. And so it's not just like this really sloppy experience. You're creating a lot of resistance as you do this. And each time your lower abs, let me show you from the side. You might be able to see what's happening here. Okay, so my lower abs pull in. And if you're not sure, then drop the block for right now and put your hands on your lower belly. Come into your goddess. You go down, you slightly lift up, you hold that position, that lifted up position in your legs. Hands on your lower belly. Belly moves back. You're moving through a jar of maple syrup, and each time you exhale. Now your legs are going to get tired. I would ideally like you doing between 8 to 10, but if your legs get tired after 2, that's okay. You're not weak. You're learning to just get back into it. Do not push through discomfort. After maybe 2, come back up. Come back down. So these will work beautifully when you are mindful and you're taking care of your form, you're being diligent. So just, there's no need to be quick, sloppy, and fast-paced. And finally, our last exercise, and you can run through this sequence 3 times. So you do all 5 exercises, and then do them again, and then do them again, in that order. So don't do 3 sets of candles, 3 sets of leg raises. Do 1 set, repeat it, repeat it. Okay, so because variety is really important and just introducing your brain and body to that. So the next and last exercise, you do not have to hold on to weights, okay? Please don't hold on to weights if you're just beginning. These are 2-pound weights, but you'd be surprised how heavy that gets. And you can hold on to a pan of beans, or you can hold on to nothing at first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my arms in front of me slightly bent. And I'm going to pretend that someone is pushing down on my arms like this, and I am resisting them. So I'm not just standing here kind of like loose and lazy. I have this active resistance through my arms. And then I'm going to slightly bend my knees, and I'm going to begin to hinge my body forward in one straight line. Here's what it's not. This. You see how I round in my back? That's not a hinge in one straight line from the hips. That's rounding from your back, which is fine, but it's not what we're doing here. So your arms are here, you're pretending like someone is pushing them down, but they're not. But you're resisting it, and you're gonna slightly bend your knees, and you're gonna start to exhale, feel your core engage, hiss, feel those, come forward as far as you can before your back wants to round. Hold, pause. You see how the booty is untucked. You see my booty is not tucked under. My booty is untucked. For those of you who are very flexible, do not overdo that movement. But a lot of my clients are the opposite. They stay very tucked. So I'm giving you very tucked women the instruction to untuck. Now I'm here, and now I imagine someone is pushing me down. Someone has put their hands on my hands, and they're pushing my hands down, and I'm resisting that. And then exhale to come back up. It would be great if you have anyone at home, a child, a partner, a mother, whoever, to push down on your hands to give you that feedback once or twice. Again, the weights might be too much. I have a lot of clients without the weights, not much is happening, so we add weights just for sensation, but it doesn't mean you need to go up to 10-pound weights, because the point of the weights is to help you feel your core. And again, we want it to be lower core. So drop one weight, hold one arm out, put the other hand on your lower belly. Feel how your belly moves in with that. Come forward, exhale. Feel how your belly moves in, exhale. Push through your legs to come back up. So coming back up is driving from your legs. When you come back up, just try not to thrust here. So there's kind of a common instruction in some exercise world to thrust the hips forward. Try not to do that here. In fact, try to have control over your legs and just come straight back into extended legs. So those are your 5 exercises. The lower abs is what we're looking to cultivate the experience in. It is very common to overuse the upper abs. I do have many free videos on how to not get into your upper abs. And if you are very upper ab oriented, which is what I call oblique dominant, what to do to get out of that. But a lot of people that I see with a C-section, they don't have the lower abs and their body defaults into the upper abs, so you just want to be careful of that. And enjoy the 5 exercises, and by all means let me know in the comments if you have any questions.